Welcome, Stephany. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your leadership and taking the time to come and discuss AI and some practical uses with our team. As always, I like to begin by acknowledging all the original stewards of the various lands that we are on, as well as acknowledging our ancestors, those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We want to acknowledge the elders and the community stalwarts whose shoulders that we continue to stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. We always like to start that way here at SETC. And now I'd love for you to go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers and our listeners.
Thank you so much, Blessed. My name is Stephany Sani-Edwards. I always like to introduce myself as a servant leader. First and foremost, I'm a Christian, I'm a mother, and I am here to do my best to benefit anybody that I encounter. In my professional experience, I have spent roughly the better part of 15 years in the not-for-profit space. The majority of that was in international development, and now I'm working in the Black entrepreneurial ecosystem as a director of programs.
Okay, I love that. Thank you. And what does that ecosystem look like right now? And like, where do you see that going?
Well, the larger ecosystem, I think we're all moving together in the right direction and in the right space. I see a lot of room for growth, particularly as technology advances and as innovation, we embark upon various types of innovation. I think that as a Black community, we need to be ahead of the curve and not behind it. So I think collectively we're in a prime opportunity to really move the needle forward.
I love that. Can you tell us in your own words what prompt engineering is? I think we should start there.
In my own words. So yes, I recently did a prompt engineering program. And what it really is, it is understanding how large language models work. So Bard, Google Bard, ChatGPT, and understanding how you need to phrase your instructions to get the best results out of the program. It's very much an input-output system, garbage in, garbage out, good quality input in, you're going to get good quality out.
Yeah, I think I've noticed that in my experience. The best way to get the most, I guess, comprehensive information to me was a series of questions, right? Like asking a general question, but then building on it. And then after about 5 to 7 questions, then I felt like I really like what I got back.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is more about actually understanding what it is you're asking of the program, right? Because you ask it a question, you think that question is specific enough until you get the result and you're like, hold on a second, that's not quite what I want.
That's what I went through.
So what I tend to tell people, it's like, so I have 3 children. I have a 24-year-old, an 11-year-old, and an 8-year-old. I can give my 24-year-old partial instructions, and because of context, he understands what I'm asking of him. My 11-year-old I can give her partial context, but still needs more information. Whereas my 8-year-old, I have to give him step-by-step instructions.
Right.
So I say, when you're using these tools, treat it like a child, where you can't just say, go upstairs and get this for me. It's go upstairs, go into this room, open this drawer. Behind this, you'll have whatever it is. Right. Get it and bring it downstairs. So the more information you can give it, the better the quality of the output.
I think that is so true the way you broke that down, because like I said, when I asked more specific questions, I got better results. And also, again, with my 10-year-old, she needs the steps, but also it's so funny. One of her tutors said, don't give her 3 to 4 steps at once. Like give her 1, 2 steps and she's really good. And so I feel like the ChatGPT was the same thing. It's just like when I slowed down and asked specific questions, then I liked how it built on the answer. But I feel like there's no way I could have got what I got on answer 7 the first time. Like, I feel like you couldn't possibly. Personally, that was my experience.
So I'll give you a trick.
Okay.
When you ask ChatGPT to do something for you, ask it to reiterate what you've told it to do to make sure it understands.
Okay.
And it will give you back its understanding of it. Then you ask me as many questions as needed, one at a time, until you're confident that you have enough information to give me what I need.
Oh, wow.
And it will literally ask you, one question, you respond to it. You can ask it to give you feedback, all in that initial prompt. So you can say, ask me one question at a time until you have enough information, give me feedback on how to enhance that, and then ask me if I want to incorporate it, and then ask me if I'm ready for the next question. So you give it multi-level prompts. And what that does is it ensures that you and the system have the same understanding of what it is you're trying to accomplish. So for argument's sake, if I said to it that I want to drive from here to LA and I want to stop every 12 hours with children, and I want you to give me stops to entertain them. Ask me questions to help you come up with this. It might in turn around and say, well, how old are these children? Would you like to eat at these stops? And it might, depending on what your situation is, it can ask you various questions. And based on those answers, it will now give you a list. Okay, you drive from here to wherever is 12 hours from here. I have no clue what that is. Stop here for this amount of hours, visit this, and this place, and it will give you an entire
So it can plan the
journey.
whole trip for you. Okay.
100%.
And to my understanding, there's different ones that are created for different things that are better. Like I heard there's the typical ChatGPT people are used to, you could ask information and it's going to give you that. But I heard there's now more intricate ones that can create a whole presentation for you or create a course for you. ChatGPT 4, I think, is one of my colleagues was talking about. And what's the difference there? Or is it just marketing? Is it creative marketing?
Well, what you have, so you have tools like ChatGPT and Google Bard. Google Bard is not yet available in Canada. That are, for me, they're general purpose tools. So it can do content creation. It can give you the information to put in your slides. It can give you pretty much anything you want. And then you have your industry specific tools, right? You have Beautiful AI, you have Tome app, which are presentation tools. And you can literally go in there and say, create a presentation on uses of AI, and boom, your presentation is created for you with charts, statistical data, links to that data, imagery. So it really is, all of them, I believe, back in on a large language model. So something similar to ChatGPT, or it's accessing the internet, but it is just more giving you more specific content.
Right. Okay. So I like that we clarified exactly how to make it work best or how to communicate with it. So do you see it as a positive or a negative?
I think everything that humans create can be used positively or negatively. You know, for me, this is no different than when internet came around, right? You know, it's us who are going to determine how this tool is used. You know, there's the dark web. Many of us don't access it, but you do have your population people who do access it. For me, I think AI, where it is right now, it's in a nice place for everybody to be able to access it and utilize it. I think what it will do for those who are willing to embrace it is it will free up time to allow humans to do what humans do best, which is create, build relationships. And I think that as humans, we're going to have to relearn the concept of thinking, because we spent so much time bogged down in repetitive, mundane tasks that the actual act of thinking and collaboration, I don't think has been really maximized.
Okay.
And I think when we free up our time, it will allow us to really expand our thinking. And because of that, I just feel that where we're able to go will be so much further than where we are now.
I love it. So how do you think that we should be using it?
Well, I think that all depends on the individual. I look at this, and I think one of the things that makes me most optimistic is the fact that it provides access to things that we don't otherwise have access to. You know, I think about the small business owner who cannot afford a content creator, right? You have tools like ChatGPT that is a free content creator as long as you tell it how to act. I think about education, and I think about kids who don't have access to a tutor. I can create a prompt that will allow it to give children multiple choice questions on a certain topic to help them learn that topic better, and where they're wrong, provide the explanation at an age appropriate level. You know, I think about those who don't have access to be able to, create a business model canvas, for argument's sake, to help them build out their business and start their entrepreneur journey.
Right.
And they don't have the resources to pay somebody to write a business plan for them. This is a great tool to give you the basis to be able to then enhance upon it.
Right. It gets you started.
Absolutely. And as I said, it's really about providing access to those who don't have access. Those with money can access all of these things already. They will
Right.
probably not use these tools because they still want a person to hold accountable at the end of the day, right? But for the average person like myself, I look at this as a way to break those barriers that that I have in my life because of finances and because of my financial status, right? I look at it as an opportunity for my children to explore things that they wouldn't have access to either. I can now build a website using a tool without having to know anything about programming. So it's things like that, right? It's just regular, pragmatic, everyday things that we just haven't been able to do on our own, and that
Right.
might have been holding us back.
And I think that's a way that people may not be looking at it, as the fact that someone that you used to need to hire to do this, you could potentially handle yourself because you have access to this. So, and that way it's a huge plus, for the community. But are they aware, right? I'm not sure everyone looks at it that way. I think that especially being new technology, people can be fearful of it, right? The unknown. And if you just get past that, it can actually be the answer to so many other challenges that you're dealing with. And that was one of my questions for you is there anything that we should be aware of or fearful of as it pertains to it? But you mentioned the opportunity.
Well, that's exactly it, right? And I think that there's always areas of fear, right? And that's why there's so much talk about ethical guidance around AI. It is important, right? We have a tool that has a lot of abilities, both good and bad. We have loaded it with a lot of knowledge. And you do need those ethical guidance and guidelines around it and policies that need to be created to temper how it's used. But it's like anything else, right?
Right.
You're going to be fearful of it until you know how to use it, right? Very basic example. When I was about 7, I had a hammer in my hand for the first time. And I was told to hammer in a nail. My biggest fear was hitting my finger,
Right.
right? Until you're taught how to do it properly, right? A hammer is only going to do what you do with it. And it's no different than AI. It is a tool.
So it's nothing to be fearful of, it sounds like, because you said it can answer a lot of things for us, and it's really just the fear of the unknown. So once you get past the fear of the unknown and you just get some information around it, which I guess that's something we wanted to talk about too. Are you aware of any study groups or communities of practice in the Black community where we can get more familiar with this and, get over that learning curve?
Well, actually, a colleague of mine and I have started doing AI workshops. We call it the playground, and we have a little play on the A-Y in playground, and we
Okay.
just AI. And what it is, it's a group of about 10 to 15 of us. We get together and we just jump in. We call it a playground for a reason. It is just an opportunity to explore, jump in, see the tools at work, see how easy it is to use them, and just get over that initial fear of interacting with these tools. So
Okay.
we've done 2 of these sessions so far, and we have planned or we're planning to do subsequent sessions. But it is just exactly what you said. It's a community-based group that allows you to explore and familiarize yourself with the tools.
So be sure to give us, your link and contacts for people to be able to sign up for that. I think a lot of our viewers would be interested in tapping into that. I'm assuming it's online, it's virtual.
Well, we've been doing them in person so far, but we are moving towards a virtual format as well.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because then people everywhere can tap in. So that would be great. So we'll definitely be ready to list that. So I want to know how you think this will impact our work, our community, our education. Because I know that's one thing that people are a little fearful of, is like, how do we know authentic work from people now? And how will that change, the education system for our children if ChatGPT is so readily available?
Well, I think it needs to change the education system for our children.
Okay.
The reality is the education institution is probably the most protected and most archaic institution that exists today, right? The world that our children are entering is no longer reflected in the education system. And I think that educators need to find ways of incorporating these tools into their learnings. As I said, yes, ChatGPT, Google Bard, all these tools can do a lot of stuff for you, but you need to know how to ask it the right questions to get the right results. So it really doesn't matter at the end of the day if it is a software producing the results or not, right? You still need to generate that information. You still need to be able to know what you're asking it to get the right results out of it. So yeah, education system, it needs to change. As I said, I think we need to teach children to think. Right now, the education system is really a lot of learning and regurgitation. I don't think that there's enough application. And I think because of these tools, it's going to force us to teach people to think again, which I think is something that we haven't really done.
Critical thinking. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But it's not just critical, it's also creative thinking
Mhm.
and learning how to apply a concept across many different scenarios.
Okay. And do you think that this will be supportive of that? Like it's gonna force them to start thinking outside of the box that they're used to, or do you think it will cripple them or handicap them a bit?
I think it's their choice. It
Okay.
really comes down to a choice, right? If
Use
if the education system chooses to embrace this and introduce it in an ethical but structured manner, I think it will enhance the system. If it operates in fear, just like it's like any other industry, if you're
Mhm.
going to approach this from a fear perspective, you're going to get left behind
Mm,
and you will get crippled by it, right? It's here, right? It's not going to replace our jobs in the next 3 to 5 years, but in 10 to 15 years, the landscape's going to look very different.
different.
And the question is, are we going to take the time now to prepare ourselves to be able to function in that landscape? Or are we going to wait and be replaced?
I think that's key, like you said, is knowing what it's going to look like and preparing for it, which is one of my questions. What do you feel that the future of AI looks like for the Black community? And whether that's good or bad, like what do you think that the Black community needs to really do to prepare for, like you said, 10, 15, 20 years down the road?
The Black community, for the most part, we have a lack of trust in systems, in technology as a whole. And I think that that will be what cripples us if we don't decide to embrace and learn. That is one of the reasons that we do the workshops that we do, right? It's an entry point. It is non-invasive. It is just come and have fun and understand what it is we're doing. What I hope I hope that the players in, the Black ecosystem embrace AI and show our community how to use it in a safe manner. It
Right.
is simple AI tools, there are automation tools that would make our businesses so much more productive, right?
Right.
Minimize error, take away a lot of time that our business owners are spending
Mhm.
doing paperwork, right? And
Yeah.
well, it will create space for them to be strategic thought leaders in their industries.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I feel like if you feel that the change that's coming, as you said, it's going to look so different. We also need to focus on the youth, the young people, so they're very much aware and understanding. We already know that 2-year-olds know how to swipe open a phone and decline a call when they're watching their programs. So it only makes sense that they're going to embrace it. And as the seniors at that time, it's important that we're comfortable with it too, as well, right? We like all need to prepare. So I love
Absolutely.
that.
I'll share with you my proud mommy moment.
Yeah.
The other day I picked up my daughter from gymnastics and she goes, "Mom, I need your help. You need to use your AI thingy and help me with something." And I was like, "Well, what is it?" She says, "Well, I want to make a t-shirt company. So I need you to use your AI to help me." I was like, "Absolutely." And we
Right.
went home and we jumped on like the different logo tools. And I said, "Well, what do you want your logo to look like?" We jumped on Midjourney and said, "Describe to me what you want it to look like." And we started generating images. And I think it was just such a valuable lesson for her in that moment, right?
The trust.
She has
Yeah.
exposure
Yeah.
that a lot of children don't because I have embraced AI. I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I did jump into it from the time it became available.
Right.
And because of that, they now, and I say they, because all three of my children now have exposure to it that they otherwise wouldn't have had.
Right.
And so my 11-year-old is speaking about AI,
Yeah.
which many 11-year-olds, 10-year-olds are not speaking about yet.
Yeah, no, it's so true what they're exposed to. As a doula, my children are just a health, conscious person. My children will be like, oh, I feel like this. I ate this earlier, right? Like just they put things together the same way we do. I remember like coughing, and anytime my daughter would cough, I'm like, you're not zipping your coat up all the way, you're going. So then one time I coughed, she's like, you're not zipping your coat up. Don't try to diagnose me.
Right,
But
absolutely.
they are listening. They're definitely taking it in, and it, like you said, it creates the fiber of who they are. So she understands that I have this idea, I use this technology tool, and something successful comes out of it. So I love that. Like you said, that's definitely a proud mommy moment for sure. Do you have any other clothing thoughts or anything call to action for our community that you'd like to share?
I think the biggest message I can send is don't let fear stop you. We have tools that are available to us now that are providing us access to resources that we've never had access to without the financial backing to allow us to pay for them. Fear is just that. It is just a lack of knowledge. And educate yourself. Educate yourself about the good, educate yourself about the bad, but understand that it is a tool, right? It will only do what us as humans program it to do.
So there you have it. There's nothing to fear. I love that you've created a space for people to come and become more familiar with it as well. So definitely be looking to tap into that myself. But we do appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today. Thank you so much for your leadership and, changing the ecosystem, and of course, opening up space for us to learn and become more comfortable. And we just want to close the same way that we began the interview by acknowledging the original star words of the various lands that we're on. We also want to acknowledge all the ancestors and those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We want to acknowledge the elders and community stewards of the shoulders that we continue to stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and our sovereignty. Again, thank you so much for being here today, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.